South America, most people know about the southern tip because it's basically the end of the world. But what about the northern tip? What about the northernmost point in South America? What does that place look like? Well, let me show you. Buenos días. This is only the first stop. We're a couple hours in and the hood is already up. Our first stop is at a salt mine where they make pink salt out here. This is just the top level. I'm sure this is part of the production, but the majority of it is underground. This is probably mostly for show. They're hired. They brought us out here for a tour, but really they needed employees. These salt grains are huge. It's almost like small rocks. To be honest, this place is cool, but it's not the story I came for. Let's head out of here and start heading north. We have a lot more driving to do until we get there. So we stopped and got some of the fruit right off of the cactus.
They're delicious.
It feels almost like a kiwi.
Es un kiwi rojo.
Un kiwi rojo. A red kiwi. This fruit was actually surprisingly good, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it'd be like a taste and that's it kind of thing, but this was delicious. We're still hours away from making it to the most northern point in South America, but little by little we're getting there. And the sand is pelting the legs already. That's my new uncle right there. He's uncle status for sure. We have arrived at where we're gonna stay for the first night. And honestly, the story hasn't even begun. Tomorrow we have 4 more hours driving deep into the desert to actually get to the most northern point in the entire continent. But for tonight, I'm gonna get some dinner and rest up. Wow, this bed's actually way more comfortable than I thought it was gonna be. Anyways, see you in the morning. Today's the big day. It's time to get back in the desert. Well, really we never left, but this super nice place where we're staying made me feel like we were in the desert last night. Ciao! Everything out here is sharp. Even these regular looking little plants have like rose bush thorns on them. Look, even this. Dead. This is sharp. That's sharp. It's all trying to at least make you bleed. You thought the splinters you got in wherever you come from was bad. This is crazy. Hay gente vive aquí. Same thing. This kid right here is asking her for money. Over the past year, I found myself driving through communities that face extreme adversity. Usually, I'm driving through these communities on my way to a place or an event that attracts tourists. Out here, the desert to ocean landscape is absolutely stunning. But the reality is, to live out here, you face constant malnutrition, potential water deprivation, a few mistakes and heat exhaustion is right around the corner. And on top of that, you watch caravans and 4x4s drive by every single day filled with extremely privileged people inside who barely spare a few cookies. And I'm one of them. On the journey to Punta Gallinas, kids set up ropes that are tied to a branch or a makeshift pole on one side of the trail, and then they hold it on the other side. With just enough tension, the rope hovers about 2 feet off of the ground. The idea is they're holding up a checkpoint, so you give them snacks or water as you pass by in order to get through that checkpoint. Over the 3 days, we probably drove through 100 of these real but not real checkpoints. We stopped at maybe 30% of them. Some were more legit than others, plus we only had so many snacks and bottles of water. From time to time, we'd give out a bag of coffee to adults who put together checkpoints that you couldn't just honk and roll right through. Not only is Mother Nature trying to kill these people, but they're basically abandoned by the government as well. From what I could tell, there's really no help. These people have to get their own resources by any means necessary. These types of experiences really make me reflect and think, what would I personally do? It's so easy to say, make the best of your situations, do what you can, just leave and go to a place with more opportunities and make it happen. But these kids are trained out here to beg. That's their realities. I remember one girl in specific. She was probably 9 years old, young, full of innocence, and running towards the car, holding out one hand to beg for a cookie while holding her sister in the other arm, teaching her to hold her hand out and beg for a snack as well. I mean, this is ingrained into them from birth. We aren't talking about adults who have fully developed brains and make decisions based on their own conscious awareness. We're talking about infants. What would I really do? If that was my reality from childhood, what would I do? I can't answer that. And I'll never be able to answer that. But coming to places like this makes me ask that question. And I think that's an invaluable lesson. Uncle's back at it. Tio's back at the photography. ¿Qué hora es?
Selfie o'clock.
Yes! They're starting to get it. We've only taken 3, but we got 3 days of this. Matter of fact, let me just insert all of our selfies from this trip real quick. Three selfies a day, that's 3,000 words a day. I think that keeps the doctor away. Or just captures your memories super easily. While we're on this sand dune, right before we get to the actual most northern point in all of South America, we're gonna take a quick pit stop and do some sandboarding.
Life goes up and it goes down. I know my mom taught me that. I figured why we fool around so little and we keep track of time, being so serious, idiots. Thinking it will matter, keep me company downtown.
I didn't get the board up.
Before the clock runs out.
Tio.
Sun is shining, but the rain is welcome too. Friends are nearby, don't need another.
This is his last chance. Let's see if he can make it all the way. Sí, ojalá. Ojalá.
Keep saying I'll be fine, but how you know that I'll be there?
¿Por qué?
When it feels like I'm lying every time someone asks how it goes, and I save the details that actually mean something.
This is it, sandboarding's over and we're on to our last stop, Punta Gallinas. Let's go. We made it.
And then I remember all things must pass.
2 days in a car, 10+ hours of driving through the sand, so many cookies handed out, sweat, sand dunes, but we're here, the most northern point in all of South America. Punta Gallinas. From here, basically the next places you get to are the Caribbean islands like the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and then the United States. The United States is right behind me. Now this place, when you get up here, is basically just another beach with a lot of these rocks, whatever these things are called. But this place has a story, and that story is really in the journey in getting up here. Getting up here is cool, but getting up here with the people that we met along the way, with those communities that you see on the way up here, the native people that still live in the desert, the sandboarding, all of it was a part of the journey. And that's really the story to the most northern point in South America. I appreciate y'all being here for real. I don't have a ton of time left in South America, about 5 weeks in total. It's flown by. But those of you who have been around watching my channel, I just want you to know that I genuinely appreciate you being here. I'm gonna take some time to enjoy the beach, enjoy some relaxation, watching the sunset in the most northern point in South America. What an adventure. Now for the next 2 weeks, I'll be posting my main stories on Sundays, but I'll also be drizzling in some tip videos on travel in Colombia. Since I've been here almost 3 months now, I'm gonna look back and try to give you some information I think you should know before you travel to this country. Having said that, next week I'll be taking on Yes Theory's challenge of living in a city with no money for 24 hours, and I'll be doing it in Medellin, Colombia, the city where Pablo Escobar was king for a long time and where he actually ended up being killed. I'm juiced to tell that story and show you a side of Colombia that you've potentially never seen before. As far as I'm aware, it's the first time that this 24-hour challenge has ever happened in South America. I'll be relying on the kindness of strangers for food, for transportation, and for a place to sleep. But tune in next week to see what happens. That rain is not giving up. It's raining consistently, and I'd really rather not sleep in the streets tonight.